There was once a young man who faced failure after failure. Every venture he began collapsed before it could bloom. His friends pitied him, his family doubted him, and the world had written him off. But instead of giving up, he turned inward. He stopped blaming circumstances and began strengthening his mind. Years later, that same man built an empire, not because he had more resources, but because he had built something more powerful than wealth, fame, or luck: a strong mind. His name was Henry Ford, and his secret: he developed his mind before he developed his success. There is a simple truth that has echoed through the ages: our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. Every condition, every circumstance, and every success or failure we experience begins not in the hands of fate, but in the quiet corridors of the mind. The life you live today is a direct mirror of the strength of your thoughts. If your mind is weak, your life will crumble under the slightest pressure. But if your mind is strong, no storm can break your foundation. The human mind is the most powerful instrument known to man. It has conquered oceans, split atoms, and created empires, yet for most people it remains the least understood and least utilized tool in existence. We polish our shoes, we train our bodies, we chase material goals, but how often do we deliberately train the mind that governs them all? The difference between mediocrity and greatness is not opportunity, it's mentality. If you wish to develop a strong life, you must begin by developing a strong mind. A strong mind does not bend to the winds of opinion, nor does it collapse under temporary defeat. It is calm when the world is chaotic, it is focused when others are distracted, it is disciplined when comfort whispers its seductive lies. And how does one develop such a mind? Through habit, awareness, and perseverance? First, feed your mind with only what nourishes it. The books you read, the people you spend time with, the thoughts you entertain, all are food for the mind. As the body becomes what it eats, so does the mind become what it consumes. If you fill it with doubt, fear, and negativity, your life will mirror that. But if you fill it with knowledge, gratitude, and purpose, your life will expand to meet your vision. Second, train your mind daily through discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. Each time you say no to laziness, no to distraction, no to negativity, you strengthen the mental muscles that hold your life together. Just as an athlete trains their body for endurance, so must you train your mind to endure discomfort and remain focused on your higher goal. Third, guard your thoughts with vigilance. A strong mind does not allow every idea to take root. It chooses what to believe, what to pursue, and what to ignore. Thoughts are seeds, and your mind is the soil. Plant wisely, and you will harvest wisely. The truth is, we all face storms, some external, some within. But a strong mind treats every storm as an opportunity to grow stronger roots. Adversity is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Those who develop mental strength see obstacles not as barriers, but as stepping stones to mastery. A strong mind is the foundation upon which every great life is built. You see, everything in life, every success, every creation, every victory, stands upon the invisible structure of the mind. Just as a magnificent building depends upon the firmness of its foundation, a great life depends entirely on the strength and stability of one's thoughts. Without a strong foundation, even the grandest structure will fall when the winds begin to blow. And in life, those winds are inevitable: failure, doubt, criticism, and change. The question is never whether the storm will come, but whether your foundation will hold. When you look closely at people who have achieved greatness, you'll find they all possess a mind that refuses to break. It's not that they never faced obstacles, it's that they met each one with a calm, disciplined mental posture. They trained their thoughts to serve them, not sabotage them. A strong mind is not built overnight. It's built through choice, moment by moment, thought by thought. It is shaped in silence, in the small decisions you make when no one is watching, in the battles you fight within yourself each day. It's built through patience, persistence, and faith in the face of doubt. A weak mind, on the other hand, bends to every difficulty. It reacts instead of responds. It allows fear to govern action and opinion to define worth. Such a mind builds a fragile life, one that crumbles the moment pressure is applied. The strong mind does not deny the existence of struggle, it simply understands that struggle is part of growth. It sees beyond the temporary and focuses on the permanent. It understands that failure is not final, that pain is not punishment, and that every setback hides within it a lesson. The strength of your mind determines how you interpret the events of your life. Where one person sees tragedy, another sees opportunity. Where one person gives up, another grows stronger. The difference lies not in circumstance, but in perspective. A strong mind has learned to see through the fog of emotion and keep its eyes fixed on the horizon. It has learned that emotions are visitors, not masters. It knows that clarity comes not from panic, but from patience. Building such a mind requires daily work. It requires you to challenge your own thinking, to question your fears, to replace self-pity with self-discipline. It asks you to take full responsibility for your reactions, because a strong mind knows that nothing external has power unless it is granted power. It is not what happens to us that defines us, it is how we interpret what happens. That single choice separates those who merely survive from those who truly live. In every age, those who rose above circumstance did so because their minds were unshakable. They stood firm when others wavered, calm when others panicked, and confident when others doubted. They had built within themselves something no one could see but everyone could feel. A quiet strength that guided them through every storm, every loss, and every test life placed in their path. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. It is a simple statement, but within it lies the secret to every form of success, happiness, and fulfillment known to man. Everything you experience, your emotions, your relationships, your achievements, are direct reflections of the thoughts that occupy your mind. Just as clear water reflects the purity of its source, your life reflects the purity and power of your thinking. If your thoughts are small, fearful, or filled with doubt, your life will shrink to match them. But if your thoughts are bold, creative, and grounded in faith, your life will expand beyond what you ever imagined possible. Each of us lives inside a world constructed by our thoughts. Two people can live in the same city, work in the same building, and yet inhabit entirely different worlds, one filled with limitation, the other with possibility. It is not the outer world that defines the inner state, but the inner state that defines the outer world. A man who constantly thinks of failure cannot recognize opportunity even when it stands before him. A woman who trains her mind to see abundance will find it wherever she turns. Thought is the lens through which we perceive reality, and the clearer that lens, the truer the vision. Your thoughts are not idle whispers drifting through your mind. They are blueprints. Every thought you hold with feeling begins to shape behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. If you consistently think in terms of fear, you act cautiously, you hesitate, and you withdraw. Life responds accordingly. But when you think in terms of courage, of purpose, of possibility, you act boldly, you persist, and you attract results of the same nature. The law is simple. We become what we think about. Our minds are the architects of our existence, and our thoughts are the bricks that build the structure. Most people allow their thoughts to wander aimlessly, like a ship without a compass. They think whatever the world feeds them, news, gossip, complaint, and wonder why their lives feel unstable. The disciplined mind, however, is selective. It chooses thoughts deliberately, the way a gardener chooses which seeds to plant. It knows that weeds of fear and resentment cannot grow alongside the flowers of confidence and gratitude. A wise person guards their mind as they would guard a treasure, for in truth, that's exactly what it is. If you wish to change your life, begin by observing your thoughts. Do not condemn them, simply notice them. Replace each thought of defeat with one of determination. Exchange worry for faith, envy for admiration, doubt for belief. Over time, these new thoughts will weave themselves into the fabric of your character, and your outer life will transform to reflect the inner change. The mind does not create overnight miracles. It creates steady, lasting transformation through repetition and awareness. The great secret is that you already hold the key to a better life, and it lies not in changing your surroundings, but in changing the way you think about them. Discipline is the bridge between a weak desire and a powerful reality. It is the quiet, unseen force that transforms dreams into achievements and potential into performance. Many people wish, hope, and pray for success, yet only a few are willing to build the bridge that carries them there. Discipline is that bridge. It demands consistency when enthusiasm fades, focus when distractions tempt, and action when comfort whispers to stay still. Every worthwhile goal, every meaningful success is born through the steady rhythm of disciplined effort. Discipline is not punishment, though many mistake it as such. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is saying to yourself, I am worthy of my best effort. When you practice discipline, you no longer live at the mercy of moods or circumstances. You begin to govern yourself rather than be governed by the shifting winds of emotion. The undisciplined mind seeks immediate gratification. It wants the reward without the process, the harvest without the planting. But the disciplined mind understands that lasting rewards require patience, perseverance, and persistence. It understands that time is not an enemy. It is an ally for those who use it wisely. Consider for a moment the artist, the athlete, or the inventor. What separates the exceptional from the average is not talent alone, but discipline. It is the willingness to repeat, refine, and improve. It is the courage to endure monotony in the pursuit of mastery. The disciplined person does not depend on motivation, because motivation is fleeting. They rely on structure, habit, and clarity of purpose. Each morning they rise with intent. Each task, no matter how small, is performed with care. Over days, weeks, and years, these small acts of discipline compound into greatness. A disciplined mind is a mind trained to focus on what must be done, not what one feels like doing. Feelings fluctuate, but principles endure. The disciplined person learns to act according to principle, not impulse. They know that success is built not in bursts of excitement, but in quiet moments of commitment when no one is watching. They keep promises made to themselves, and that self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence. When you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you become powerful. Discipline also frees you. It may sound contradictory, but in truth, discipline is the path to true freedom. The person without discipline is a slave to laziness, to distraction, to fear. The disciplined person is free to act, free to choose, free to progress. They are no longer chained by excuses or emotions. Each act of discipline is an act of liberation. Each sacrifice builds strength, and each consistent effort shapes a life of purpose. Discipline does not ask for perfection, it asks for persistence. It is built one decision at a time, forged in moments when giving up seems easier. It is the hidden architecture behind every strong life, the unseen power that turns ordinary men and women into masters of their craft and captains of their fate. What you feed your mind, you eventually feed your future. The mind is like fertile soil. It will grow whatever is planted in it, whether weeds or wheat. Every idea, every image, every word you allow to enter your thoughts is a seed, and given time and attention, it takes root and grows into habits, attitudes, and results. The world we see outside is a mirror of what we have first cultivated within. If we feed our minds with fear, limitation, and complaint, our lives will yield the same crop. But if we feed them with vision, gratitude, and faith, we create a future that reflects those very qualities. From the moment you wake to the moment you rest, your mind is being nourished, or poisoned, by what you choose to expose it to. Most people never pause to consider what they are feeding their minds. They consume negativity from the news, envy from social media, and gossip from conversation, all the while wondering why their lives feel heavy and uninspired. The mind, like the body, cannot thrive on junk. It needs nourishment that strengthens, uplifts, and sharpens. Books of wisdom, conversations with thinkers, time in solitude, these are the mental meals that fortify the spirit. Every great life begins with a disciplined mental diet. Just as an athlete watches what they eat to maintain peak performance, a person who desires success must watch what they think. Thoughts are energy, and energy expands. The more you dwell on failure, the larger it looms. The more you think of possibility, the greater your capacity to achieve it. The law is simple and relentless. Whatever you feed your mind will grow. If you feed it with problems, you will live among them. If you feed it with solutions, you will find them appearing everywhere you look. A man once said, "You cannot keep a clean garden by allowing every passerby to toss in a seed." And so it is with the mind. You must guard it carefully. You must choose with intention what enters. Read something that stretches your understanding. Listen to those who speak from experience, not just opinion. Spend time in thought, in reflection, in silence. The mind thrives in stillness. It withers in chaos. If you fill it constantly with noise, it has no space to grow. Feeding your mind wisely does not mean avoiding the world, but interpreting it correctly. Challenges, criticism, and failure are also food, but only if digested properly. The strong mind takes lessons from hardship and strength from adversity. It transforms what could have been poison into power. The weak mind lets it fester into bitterness. The choice lies in what you allow to stay. What you feed your mind today shapes who you become tomorrow. The books you read, the thoughts you repeat, the conversations you entertain, they are all invisible architects of your destiny. To change your life, change your mental diet. For your future is being fed this very moment by the thoughts you allow to live within you. Challenges are not roadblocks, they are resistance training for the mind. Every difficulty, every obstacle, every setback is life's way of strengthening you, testing your resolve, and preparing you for greater things ahead. Just as a muscle grows only when it resists weight, the mind grows strong only when it resists hardship. Without pressure, strength cannot develop. Without challenge, character cannot mature. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not that one faces fewer challenges, but that one understands their purpose. Life was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be meaningful. The very problems you wish away are often the ones shaping the person you must become. When you encounter difficulty, you are being handed an invitation to evolve. Most people run from discomfort. They retreat at the first sign of resistance, never realizing that they are fleeing from their own growth. The strong mind does not run, it leans in. It understands that pain is a teacher, not an enemy. It listens, learns, and adapts. It asks not, why me, but what is this teaching me? Every great achievement is born out of struggle. The entrepreneur who built his dream, the artist who perfected her craft, the leader who inspired nations, all faced trials that would have crushed weaker spirits. Yet they saw their struggles differently. They understood that every challenge was carving depth into their character. Adversity became their sculptor. The chisel may hurt, but it reveals the form hidden within the stone. Without the blows of life, our potential remains unshaped, our greatness concealed. When you lift weights, the first few repetitions may feel easy, but as the weight increases, your muscles begin to tremble and burn. That burning sensation is not a sign of failure. It is the sign of growth. The same is true for the mind. When life becomes uncomfortable, when situations test your patience or shake your confidence, you are in the middle of mental training. Each challenge faced with courage adds another layer of strength, another degree of resilience. The mind that once wavered under pressure becomes steady and composed. The remarkable thing is that life gives each of us the exact challenges we need. The obstacles before you are not random. They are precisely tailored to your growth. The relationship that tests your patience, the job that demands more than you think you can give, the goal that seems just out of reach, all are designed to draw out a strength you didn't know you had. You are never being punished, you are being prepared. So, when challenges come, and they will, welcome them as partners in your development. See them as the resistance that forges strength, not the barriers that block success. The mind grows only through effort, and effort requires struggle. A strong life is simply the result of a mind that refused to see difficulty as defeat, and instead used it as the grindstone to sharpen its purpose, its courage, and its faith. Self-belief is not arrogance. It's awareness of your own potential. It is the quiet certainty that within you lies the ability to meet whatever life demands. It is not loud, boastful, or showy. It does not need to be. Real belief in oneself is calm, steady, and unshakable. It comes from understanding that you were not placed on this earth by accident, that you possess within your mind the same creative force that built the stars and shaped the oceans. To believe in yourself is to recognize that the power to create, to rise, to overcome, already lives within you waiting to be directed. Most people never truly believe in themselves. They spend their lives measuring their worth by the opinions of others. They shrink at criticism, doubt their ideas, and hold back their potential out of fear that they are not enough. But the truth is, a person becomes what they believe themselves to be. The man who sees himself as capable he becomes. The woman who believes she can endure she will. Our beliefs are the blueprints of our destiny, and they determine the size and shape of the life we build. Self-belief does not mean ignoring your weaknesses. It means knowing they exist but refusing to let them define you. It is the balance between humility and confidence, the humility to learn and the confidence to act. Arrogance boasts, self-belief builds. Arrogance seeks validation, self-belief seeks progress. The arrogant person is full of words, the self-believing one full of quiet action. It is the difference between noise and strength. The arrogant man seeks to convince others of his worth. The self-believing man needs no audience, for his work speaks for him. Belief in oneself is developed the same way one develops strength, through effort and repetition. You build it by keeping promises to yourself. Each time you say you will do something and you follow through, you build a brick of confidence. Over time, those bricks become an unbreakable foundation. You begin to trust your own word, your own ability, your own instinct. You no longer rely on others to remind you of your worth, because you've proven it through your own actions. When doubt enters your mind, and it always will, treat it as a visitor, not a resident. Doubt knocks on every door, but only those who entertain it too long find it taking over their home. Self-belief allows you to acknowledge doubt without surrendering to it. It whispers, I may not know how, but I will find a way. And that single thought, that refusal to quit, turns uncertainty into courage and fear into faith. Every person who has achieved something meaningful began with self-belief. Before they built their dream, they built conviction. They saw something in themselves others could not yet see. They understood that belief was the first creation, and everything else followed. Once a person truly believes they can, the rest becomes a matter of time, persistence, and purpose. The greatest battle you will ever fight is the one within your own thoughts. There are no swords, no shields, and no armies. Only the quiet conflict between doubt and faith. Fear and courage, limitation and possibility. Every human being, no matter how successful or strong, must face this invisible war. It is fought each morning when you rise and every night when you lie awake questioning your worth. The battlefield is your mind, and the outcome of that battle determines the direction of your life. The enemy is subtle. It whispers through uncertainty, feeds on comparison, and thrives in moments of hesitation. It tells you that you're not ready, that others are better, that your dreams are too large or your resources too small. It disguises itself as logic, convincing you that safety is wisdom and risk is recklessness. But what it really seeks is control. It wants you to live small, to stay comfortable, to surrender your potential for the illusion of peace. And yet, peace never comes to those who run from their own greatness. The strongest minds are not those without fear, but those who have learned to master it. They recognize the voice of doubt for what it is, a habit of thought, not a truth. They know that the mind, left unattended, can become a prison built from excuses and hesitation. But when directed with intention, it becomes a tool for freedom and creation. A strong person does not allow every thought to dictate action. They choose which thoughts deserve attention and which must be dismissed. They stand guard at the door of their mind, allowing in only what strengthens, never what weakens. You can train your thoughts just as you can train your body. Begin by observing them. Notice the moments when you speak against yourself, when you assume defeat before the fight begins. Replace those thoughts deliberately with ones of faith, courage, and purpose. This is not denial, it is discipline. The mind must be guided, or it will wander into the territory of fear. Just as a garden left unattended grows weeds, a mind left untrained grows negativity. The gardener who tends his soil daily eventually harvests beauty. So does the thinker who tends his thoughts with care. No one escapes the inner battle. Every inventor, every leader, every artist who has left their mark on history fought this war and won it, not once, but daily. They learned to push past the inner voice that said, "You can't." They replaced it with one that said, "Try again." Victory over self-doubt does not come with a single triumph, but with countless small acts of courage repeated in silence. Each time you confront fear and act in spite of it, you claim new territory within yourself. The greatest battle is not fought in boardrooms or on battlefields. It is fought in the mind. Win that battle, and no external force can defeat you. Lose it, and no amount of talent or opportunity can save you. The mind is both the enemy and the ally, and it becomes whichever you train it to be. Consistency in thought and action molds character and destiny. Every choice, every repeated behavior, every small effort compounded over time shapes the kind of person you become and the kind of life you live. Success is never born from a single burst of inspiration. It is built through steady, disciplined repetition. Greatness in any field is not an act but a habit. It is the product of doing what must be done day after day, long after the excitement has faded. Consistency is the quiet architect of excellence. The world often celebrates the grand moments, the breakthroughs, the achievements, the applause, but it overlooks the long, uneventful hours that made them possible. Behind every triumph lies 1,000 ordinary days of showing up, practicing, improving, and persisting. The writer who publishes a masterpiece is simply the person who refused to stop writing. The athlete who breaks records is the one who trained when no one was watching. The leader who inspires nations is the one who stayed true to his values when temptation whispered otherwise. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is the difference between wishful thinking and lasting success. The mind craves variety and excitement, but growth demands steadiness. Consistency trains the mind to resist distraction, to focus on progress rather than perfection. It builds trust between you and yourself. When you consistently act in alignment with your goals, you prove to your mind that your word can be trusted. This inner trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes momentum. But inconsistency destroys this trust. It teaches your mind that your promises mean little, that your desires are fleeting, and that you can be swayed by every passing mood. A person who cannot remain consistent in thought or action lives in a state of internal confusion, always beginning but rarely finishing. True consistency begins in thought. It is not merely the repetition of motion, but the repetition of purpose. To think consistently toward a goal is to keep your mental compass fixed on a single direction despite distractions. The mind must be trained to return to focus when it drifts, to remember why it began when it feels weary. Thoughts shape actions, and actions reinforce thoughts. Together they form a cycle of growth that leads to mastery. The man who holds a steady vision, no matter how small his daily steps, will one day look back and see how far he has traveled. Many abandon their dreams not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked consistency. They mistook the absence of immediate results for failure. not realizing that consistency always works in silence before it speaks in success. The seed planted today may take years to bloom, but it will bloom if tended to daily. Every act of discipline, every thought of purpose, every moment of perseverance is a stroke of the sculptor's hand shaping your destiny. In time, what was once effort becomes nature, and what was once intention becomes identity. Consistency, quietly and faithfully, transforms possibility into permanence. To grow mentally strong, one must guard their environment and influences. The mind is impressionable like soft clay, constantly being shaped by what surrounds it. The people we speak with, the words we hear, the images we see, and the ideas we allow to take root, all leave marks upon the mind. Most people believe they are independent thinkers, yet they unknowingly reflect the patterns, habits, and attitudes of their environment. The company you keep and the content you consume are the architects of your mindset. If you wish to elevate your life, you must first elevate the influences that mold your thoughts. No one can rise higher than the environment they continually expose themselves to. You cannot think abundantly while surrounded by constant complaint. You cannot grow in faith while immersed in fear. The human mind absorbs energy from its surroundings like a sponge. It takes on the color of what it soaks in. When you spend time among those who see limits, your vision contracts. When you keep company with those who see possibility, your imagination expands. Guard your circle as you would guard your treasure, for it is the soil in which your potential grows. There is a quiet power in consciously choosing your influences. Every book you read, every conversation you engage in, every piece of media you allow to enter your awareness is a seed planted in the garden of your mind. If you fill your garden with weeds, you cannot expect flowers. Many people pollute their mental environment without realizing it. Through gossip, negativity, endless distraction. They wake each day wondering why peace feels distant and progress elusive. But the answer lies not in fate, but in what they have permitted to shape them. The mind, like a garden, must be tended daily, pruned of harmful growth, and nourished with truth, inspiration, and beauty. Guarding your environment does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means choosing wisely what you give your attention to. It means recognizing that your time and focus are precious resources, not to be wasted on triviality or turmoil. When you walk among those who challenge you to grow, who hold you accountable to your best, you rise effortlessly. When you immerse yourself in ideas that stretch your mind, you awaken strength that lies dormant. You become the reflection of what you honor most consistently. A strong mind cannot thrive in a weak environment. It requires air, space, and the nourishment of purpose. You must be willing to outgrow old circles, habits, and surroundings that no longer serve your development. Growth often demands solitude, a season of stepping back to realign your influences with your intentions. It is in that quiet separation that clarity forms and the mind regains its strength. Guard your environment, for it guards you in return. What surrounds you shapes what sustains you. The moment you take responsibility for your influences, you take command of your future. The world will always try to pull you into its noise, but the strong mind remains calm, selective, and steadfast, choosing only what nourishes its highest self. A strong mind turns adversity into advancement and pain into progress. Life, in its infinite wisdom, does not promise ease or comfort. It offers tests, trials, and obstacles that demand more than mere endurance. The difference between those who merely survive and those who thrive lies not in circumstance, but in the strength of their mind. The weak mind sees adversity as punishment, as proof of inadequacy, as a reason to quit. The strong mind sees it as opportunity, as the forge in which character is tempered, as a challenge to be met with courage and clarity. Adversity is universal. No one escapes it, no matter how wealthy, talented, or fortunate they may appear. The storms come to all, but the strong mind uses the storm to sail further rather than sink. It understands that resistance is not the enemy of progress, but its catalyst. Just as a diamond forms under intense pressure, the human spirit shines brightest when tested. Pain, struggle, and difficulty are not signs of failure. They are the sculptors of greatness. Those who learn to navigate them with awareness and resilience find that every trial leaves them stronger, wiser, and more capable. The mind is the ultimate tool for transforming hardship into opportunity. A person who has mastered this skill does not merely react to challenges, they interpret them. They ask, what can I learn? How can I grow? Where is the opportunity hidden? And in this reframing lies the secret of resilience. When you perceive adversity as a teacher rather than a tormentor, every setback becomes a step forward. Every difficulty becomes a chance to cultivate patience, discipline, and resourcefulness. The mind that embraces this principle becomes unshakable, for it knows that external events do not control it, its thoughts do. Strengthening the mind in this way requires practice, attention, and intentionality. It demands that you examine your responses to discomfort and question the stories you tell yourself. Do you see failure as an end or a lesson? Do you see criticism as attack or guidance? Do you see hardship as punishment or preparation? Every thought is a choice, and every choice shapes the way you experience life. The strong mind chooses perspective, chooses courage, and chooses action even when it feels impossible. Pain and adversity cannot be avoided, but they can be harnessed. The weak mind yields to them, becoming bitter, resentful, or fearful. The strong mind harnesses them, transforming energy that could destroy into energy that propels. It is the mind that sees the opportunity where others see only obstacles, that writes history, builds empires, and achieves dreams. Strength of mind is not measured by comfort but by endurance, insight, and the ability to rise again and again, each time stronger than before. To cultivate this strength, you must embrace challenge rather than evade it. You must welcome difficulty as a companion on the journey rather than a foe to be avoided. You must train your thoughts to see the value in every trial and the lesson in every pain. The mind that masters this alchemy of adversity becomes unstoppable, for it has learned the greatest secret of life, that within every challenge lies the seed of opportunity, and within every struggle lies the path to progress.